Hi, everybody. I am Jay. With me is my brother from another mother, the Immortal John Hancock, and welcome to episode 3 of the Super Retro Brothers show. This is just a show where we talk about all things kind of that interest us. It doesn't just involve video games. It's primarily gaming, but there's also some other stuff involved in there, too. One of the things that we want to talk about that I actually forgot to put on the topic list here, Funko fallen apart at the seams apparently, which is unfortunate. They're a Washington company. I actually went to their headquarters when I was visiting out west a couple of years ago, and trouble appears to be afoot.
Yeah, definitely. The article was concerning. I mean, I think a lot of people saw it coming, but yeah, I always feel bad, especially for a business that's close to home. That's not looking good, but we'll definitely talk more about that for sure.
Yeah, I think there's still more out there that's going to be happening. Like, I'm sure they're going to get bailed out by somebody. There's too much IP tied up in there for them to completely flounder and fail. But yeah, just kind of shocking to see that they were having that many struggles and that many issues when they're so prevalent in everything right now.
Yeah, well, I think we're dealing with we're kind of that COVID collecting bump has subsided.
Yep.
And now people are like, well, I have all this stuff. Maybe I don't need all this stuff. Maybe I need to go outside and see the sunshine. Or I mean, we're dealing with, I think, a different phase, and it doesn't mean collecting's going to go away. It's just goes in phases and goes in and out, and different trends happen, and nostalgia, I don't think has the foothold that it once had.
I'd agree with that.
That's what we're dealing with right now. Is nostalgia is different and changing all the time, and we're going into a different phase, and what that means and what that looks like is ever evolving.
Yeah, and I think that's especially showcased by some of the new technology that's coming out right now. And I haven't gotten one yet. We talked about this last episode, but I know you got the PSVR 2.
Yeah,
and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Like, let me know. After about a week with it now, right?
I have about a week in it. I did order Gran Turismo 7. I still hasn't come yet. One thing about Amazon, great sales, terrible time sometimes on getting things. So yes. I'm going to get mine mid-March or something. I could have went to Target and got and purchased it, but at the time there was some bad weather and I didn't want to go drive across town, and I don't know. Okay, so here's my thoughts on the PSVR 2. It is stupidly expensive to the average person now. You talk to you talk to just VR enthusiast. It's not cheap, and it's not expensive. It's looking at what it does. They definitely say it's a quality VR headset. Now, I'm a casual VR enthusiast. Okay, this is my third headset. I have the PSVR 1. I have the Oculus Quest 2, and this, and so it's better than those. I like some, as a content creator, I like some of the features where you can just put like a USB thumbstick into my PS5, hit record, then take that content, and then I can then load it up on my computer and then edit it. And it's full screen. You don't have to, with the Oculus Quest 2, there's these different aspect ratio issues you have with the content that you make. So anyways, what do I think of it? I'm playing a game that's actually on Steam and Oculus Quest 2 called The Light Brigade. Okay. So my playing time has really solidified and focused into one game. I played a little bit of the kayak game. I haven't jumped in Horizon West that I thought. In the Star Wars one, I definitely want to get the full game up. But my time's real limited. I'm working 60 to 80 hours a week with YouTube and teaching But yeah, the Light Brigade it works. I haven't had the bugs that other people have. And other people that are talking about the fog, it's not blurry. That's less of an issue with me because I had the PlayStation VR 1 and I don't know, some of it's have you messed around with other headsets, or are you comparing this to a high-end computer headset, which is better? But so, is it worth it for me? Time will tell. I think there's plenty to digest now. And, I tell people how many games are at launch. There's 40 games in the launch window.
Wow.
And so a lot of them are offered on other platforms. I do think that backwards compatibility not being there is hurting them. And that price point is stupid high for just a general consumer of just PlayStation 5 games and products.
Yeah, the barrier to entry for me is the price, and then the additional issue of having so many games have that upgrade fee on top of them and just not be backwards compatible if you have the disc for a PSVR 1 game. Like, I have a few VR games for my PS4. Like, I would love to be able to bring those over, but I don't have that option now. So I'm less enticed to bring that over than I am, or to pick it up, than I would be otherwise.
So the 3 games that I recommend, if you're going to get one and you want to check it out, definitely Resident Evil Village. That's amazing. The Gran Turismo 7, which I haven't experienced, but everybody's saying, because those are like, I think that's where it's a sweet spot where it's not just some gimmicky game. It's like a real experience. And like Sony needs more of that moving forward. Like Horizon, Call of the Mountain, I think that's a good example, but I don't know, like, I think there's a lot of people, it's like, is it totally different than what we've experienced in other headsets? And I think time will tell. I think it's too early to say it's not there yet. I think it can be. They're going to have to really produce some quality stuff that you can't get anywhere else. Because otherwise, you know what people are going to do? They're going to get a cheaper headset and experience those crossover games that are good enough. And because I think people don't, like, the average person doesn't game on PSV, like on VR virtual reality, the same as they do on consoles or handhelds. It's a different time input. Some people live and breathe in it, but the average person, I think, is still just playing around with VR, and it's still on the fringe a little bit.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of that expensive novelty of gaming right now. Like, I think it's neat. I can't do it for more than like 5 minutes before I get a splitting headache. But and that could just be the PSVR 1 headset, just because it's low resolution. You
gotta go with an Oculus Quest 2 or get something with that, 120 frames, because part of it is if you don't have that, if you're not playing on a quality headset, then you can get motion sickness because your eyes are it can really mess with people. But you were talking earlier that other things get you sick, motion sick, like rides and like first person shooters, so you might be in a different category. But I would try that before experiencing. Definitely if you can, just check out something else to see if it's any better.
Yeah, the Oculus is something I definitely want to check out. It's at the very least, it's intriguing to me. And if that works, then maybe the VR 2 will be on the horizon down the road for me. But we're talking a lot about games and new games coming out, and unfortunately, we're in a position right now where we actually have a couple of digital storefronts shutting down on both the Wii U and the 3DS. And I don't want this to be like a normal conversation where everyone is talking about the 3DS and the Wii U eShop, where it's like, what games should you get? You all know by now. Everyone has talked about it at this rate. But there's something to be said about the fact that they are shutting down, and why, when we have something like Steam that has been really resilient for a really long time with its library.
Yep. Yeah, and the more I play on Steam, and the more I'm like scratching my head, is like they're laughing at consoles with their shops shutting down. It's like, you guys, I mean, I think we're at a point where the big three, the big console three, need to make a shop and not shut it down. And if you have this console, then you go to the shop and you play these games and make it compatible, because I think people get frustrated with that why should it shut down? You should just make one store work with all your consoles, and then that's that. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to set up, to be honest. I mean, Steam's doing it, and Steam's killing it. I mean, their store is crazy awesome. It's so overwhelming though. Sometimes it's like you could spend an hour just deciding what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've done a good job at supporting that, 20 plus years of just classics. It's great. It's frustrating. So, I mean, for loyalists that are, the 3DS was a big seller too. So, for millions of people, they're going to realize they can't get anything. That's frustrating. Wii U was that was a failure, and I think the Switch is definitely the replacement. I know there's some holdouts out there that, well, those diehards that are going to stick with the Wii U and advocate it was better and all that, and I'm happy for them. But for me, it's not. I've moved on, and the Switch really is monumentally better on a lot of levels. But the 3DS is different. For me, that was a really awesome shop and had lots to offer, and just shutting that down just to me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like with the Wii U, so much of that library has been brought over now to the Switch that I can at least make the logical explanation in my head as to why they would shut it down, because it's like, all right, so we're losing 15% of the library. Okay, I got it. Losing the Virtual Console is probably the worst part, just because that was so vast on the Wii U. But
yes,
the 3DS shop shutting down to me is just baffling, because, like you said, there was 93 million 3DS units sold between the 3DS and the 2DS. That's like, I know Nintendo likes to make money, but that's just leaving money on the table at this point.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think they need to make a new dual screen system.
I would agree.
I mean, that would be great. Who knows? Nintendo, they can do all sorts of cool stuff, and we'll see. Time will tell. But I don't know. I get frustrated with them just shutting down the stores in general, and the Virtual Console is the big one. Them going with this like subscribe service, it's financially better for them.
Yeah,
because essentially everybody has to pay some money to continue it, so it's going to be a lot more revenue for them. But they're so slow sometimes with adding additional games. There's so many IPs that Nintendo's sitting on. It's like, oh my gosh, it frustrates me sometimes. It's like waiting, years for how long is it gonna be before they offer GameCube games?
Yeah.
Is it going to be 2-3 years? Is that going to be a Switch 2 thing where, hey, if you get the Switch 2, then we'll, pay an additional fee and you can get the Switch Online expansion plus 2? I mean, and they're really kind of milking that. I wish, one thing I wanted to bring up in my video that I did about the Switch turning 6 is that I wish that they just offered, here's a fee and here's all the games that we offer online, instead of this pay $20, but there's an expansion and you can pay a little bit more to get this. No, it's just make one service and one fee and call good.
Yep, I would agree with that. Like, and this is coming from someone who pays the extra fee for the expansion pack and everything like that.
Yeah,
and I'm happy to. I'd be a lot happier to just pay a flat rate and get access to everything.
Yeah, to me, I think it would sell it better. Like, here's $30, $30 or $40 a year. It's still super cheap. Cheaper than the other competitors, and offering all those backlogs of games, not a bad idea.
Yeah, and just stop drip feeding me stuff.
Yeah,
like don't give me 4 games to launch, or whatever, 6 games to launch the Game Boy Advance. Give me 30. Give me an actual list of games I can choose from, because much as I love the GBA games that are on there, I've already played through the ones I want to play through, or I've played them for a bit and I want something else. I like the idea, but just give me more. Just give me more.
Yeah, and give me a working online service.
Well, you're asking for a lot there, John. That's a little ridiculous now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think was it Fortnite works fine without using the chat additional thing? Is that even? They still trying to do that?
They are.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Really? Wow. Because I know Fortnite doesn't use it.
No, Fortnite does not.
Yeah, when you think about Switch Online, it's like Fortnite and some other games, right? I mean, so you got like Mario Kart, but you can't talk in that, right?
Nope, you can't talk in Mario Kart. Okay. Splatoon uses the voice chat app on your phone.
Hurt.
Don't know. I think Animal Crossing uses the app. I don't know what it does though, because I think these are games I don't play. So
yeah, Splatoon 3. So I played Splatoon 2, or tried to play Splatoon 2 online with a friend, and it was an absolute mess. We couldn't get on the same team. It was like trying to go online with a dial-up modem.
Yeah.
Like, it was just really archaic. I really hope that they fix that, especially with their new system. They're going to have to address that sometime because all their competitors have competent multiplayer.
Yep.
They need to.
Yeah, they're a joke at this point with the way they're treating it.
Well, and in the market of kids, and someone's in my comments really mentions, like, well, their market is kids and they don't know any better.
They're not wrong.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. So I got a question for you, John.
All right.
What are you playing?
Well, I'm actually playing, you'd be proud of me, I actually picked up a couple indie titles on the Switch.
Awesome.
And I have one. I'm a big Vampire Chronicles guy.
Sure.
And if you haven't played that, it's like $5 indie goodness. And so it's essentially, it's kind of hard to explain. It's an action Everrunner. You go around, you take like Castlevania characters and you put them in this different game and you level them up, and it's fun, bite-sized game. You would love it. Well, I don't think it's on the Switch. It's on Steam and it's on Xbox and it's on some other, and on phones and iOS and Android, but it's not on Switch. But there's a competent clone called Legion of Doom.
Okay.
And it's a Vampire Chronicles clone. I mean, it's like really much a clone. $5, same price. I mean, they're going for different characters unlock. Anyways, saw it, picked it up, and it's great. Plays great. Plays just like Vampire Chronicles. It's a little bit different, but you can level up your character, and check it out. Check it out. Support that indie game and spend your $5. I had like $10 in gold coins, so like I'd love that. It's the coolest thing about Switch is like you get this extra bonus currency and you can pick up all these indie titles, and I've picked up probably like, I don't know, at least 50 games that way of just like, oh, it's $2. Okay, I'll pick that up. Other game I'm playing is I picked up the Bit Trip Collection.
I love the Bit Trip Collection. It's so good.
$2.
Yep.
It's $2. The only thing I don't like on the Switch is that it's not one in one folder. It's all separate.
Yeah, I agree.
$2. I mean, come on. Like, that's a great thing. I always go in the Switch store and like, okay, what's on sale? Okay, it's $2. Okay, well, I'm gonna buy that.
Yeah. So, you know me, I'm Mr. Independent Games.
Yeah.
I love those scrappy, them against the world independent games. So it might come as a bit of a surprise that what I'm playing right now is oh, you can't see it.
Oh,
Metroid
nice.
Prime. So I went full AAA this time. I managed to actually found this tonight at Target. It was the only copy left. I was like, yeah, I'm picking that up.
$40 and great.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing for me that I am playing, and I'll turn off my blurry background. You can see how messy my studio is. The other game that I'm playing, my birthday is in about a week.
Oh,
and I got another copy of Suikoden 2.
Oh, nice.
Which I have not had in my possession for probably about 8 years.
Wait, can you hold it up again? I'm gonna do the noise.
Yeah, like
okay.
This is my favorite game of all time. And I had to get rid of it a few years ago just because of some financial stuff that was going on. And I legitimately never thought I would own it again. And our friend Chris from the Game Dad Show managed to find a copy and got it for me. And
awesome.
Yeah, it merited. So my wife knew about it, of course, because they always conspire against me every time for my birthday. And so she took a video of it when I unboxed it, and I was in just complete and utter shock when I saw it because it was the last thing I expected was to get that game. So,
congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm still just ecstatic that it's back, and I love it. It's in immaculate condition.
Yeah.
But let's move on now. So there's something that's going on right now. Some rumors that have been popping up about a new model of the Switch to debut either at year end or early next year.
Yep.
And we kind of touched on this in our last episode where we were like, yeah, we think it's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there was a leak on 4chan, which, it's 4chan, so say what you will, but it was in regards to the Pokemon Direct that was last week.
Yes.
And this guy got everything right.
Yep.
Like down to like the spelling of the Pokemon names that were getting revealed in this Direct.
Yes, he has a history of saying accurate things. I picked up I listened to RGT85 talk about it a little bit on his channel. Great channel, by the way.
Yeah, RGT is awesome. I love Sean. He's a great guy. He was he actually was like one of the first like big YouTubers to watch one of my nothing videos the first year I was making stuff, and I was like, oh, that's great. But yeah, so that got leaked, and there's just this one little blurb at the end that there's going to be graphic upgrades for these games on the new model of the Switch, and I was like, well, that's curious. What do they mean? And that is, of course, the $1 million question, or in Nintendo's case at this point, probably the multi-billion-dollar question for how much money they're going to make when this thing launches. Is it going to be a new Switch? Is it going to be a remaster of the current Switch, like a Pro model? I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of speculation there. So Nintendo typically has like every 2 years they upgrade or do a slight upgrade, and so in October will be a 2-year anniversary of the Switch OLED.
Yep.
So it makes sense that it would be either a Switch. I mean, if they want to play it real safe, they would do like the Switch Pro that we wanted. I think if it's not 4K, people are going to be pissed off.
I'd agree.
So if they're going to do the Switch Pro and make it fully backwards compatible, and then they're in a tough spot because like the PlayStation 4 Pro was in this spot, and so was the Xbox One X, not the Series X. Such confusing names. Anyways,
yes, it is.
Are they going to go full on where it's a major upgrade, but it only plays Switch games, or are they essentially going to say, here's the Switch 2 and it can play, the other pressure too is that puts pressure on the developers, and like they have to now when they make their software, they have to make it in 2 modes. That's what Xbox is actually struggling with, is developers have to make in 2 modes. They have to make it compatible with at least the S and the X. So, yes.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I think if I'm looking at it logically, and I look at kind of taking the Wii out of the equation, because the Wii was like the oddball of the entire bunch, because it had a 13-year shelf life or something like that.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of Nintendo consoles, everything runs between 5 to 8 years, typically. And we're right in that window right now with the Switch. And they could do a Pro. They absolutely could do a Pro and just kind of extend that life cycle out another 3 or 4 years and call it a successful console. But I think they're at the point now where if they don't put out something that's actually new and is the successor to the Switch, while maintaining the backwards compatibility, which they also have a history of doing, I think that they could be setting themselves up for, I don't want to say failure, but disappointment.
Yeah, it's a tough spot because I look at the Wii U. Like the Wii U, so many people thought that was just an upgraded Wii that people weren't really asking for.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh wait, it can play its own games? Okay. And it was ugly and the phablet and all that. Like, I got one, but I didn't get one at launch. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
and I'm into this stuff, and it's like it came out, and I was like, "Oh, it's not a new Wii. No, it's its own thing." Oh, like it was just so bizarre. I think Nintendo, whatever they do, whatever upgrade they do, I think some people will be happy. Some people are always going to be on the other side and be angry. But if it has to be 4K. It has to be 4K. It has to have bigger storage. It has to be competing with the Steam Deck. And if it's not, then I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt Nintendo, but it's not going to be what people want.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that there's so many rumors right now about the DLSS integration that's going to be in there for the, kind of the faux 4K and stuff like that, or the upgraded resolutions for games. And if they can somehow get that going and somehow get some kind of AI algorithm running on older Switch titles that can upgrade the visuals and make them look a little bit better, that could be huge. Like, if they can make that work, that's massive. But that's also going to be hugely taxing on the processor. And that means your battery is now going to be, an hour and a half of battery life?
Yeah, I think people would want a better Switch with battery life. I mean, the other thing that I think about the Game Boy Pocket, I was a big fan of the Game Boy Pocket.
Me too.
It was a meaner and leaner Game Boy with a better screen and longer battery life. And and just look 10 times better. So that's the other thing. Hopefully they look at as like a thinner and leaner, meaner Switch. But I don't know. I hope that it comes out. It's needed, and I think sales numbers, having falling sales numbers is really going to have them determine when it's going to come out too. So they sold 14 million this last year, 14 and some change. And so if that continues to drop, then they're definitely. I think Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
Okay, that's gonna make sales sell quite a bit. And they have a bundle, right? Tears of the Kingdom bundle.
Theoretically, it's been.
They haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, they haven't announced it yet. There was a rumor that it was going to be the one that was announced on March 10th, but that's obviously the new Mario Day bundle with something having to do with the movie.
3 Marios. Yeah, 3 Marios, a special red Joy-Cons, and you get to choose one $59.99 download.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think there will probably be a Zelda release. I think they would be dumb not to, because it's again, it's a license to print money. Like whenever they put out these limited edition consoles, they sell out immediately. So, yeah. All right, final topic, Mr. Hancock. Final topic. Do you prefer a game released on older hardware, a new game released on older hardware, or would you rather have it look classic but released on a modern console with all the bells and whistles that those modern consoles offer?
Now, everybody knows I'm a huge advocate of homebrew and aftermarket games, and I always will be. And the problem is, the only problem with those is it's a limited market. Like, people don't know how limited it is, but some old consoles now are expensive. And even to get one in working order, and then you got to buy cables to make them work on modern screens. And after all said and done, you might be out $200, $300, $400. And then these aftermarket games, which are totally awesome, and I've done my own games for aftermarket games for consoles. I've done them in really small batches, but it's just not available to the wide audience. Yeah. And then you have these games like Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is a good example for Steam and Switch and PlayStation 4. And it looks like a Sega Genesis game, like 16-bit Super Nintendo, but it has all the modern bells and whistles. And Elderland.
Yeah.
And that's like a new indie Metroidvania. Those are two examples of games that look like old games, but they're on modern consoles, and I'm glad. And honestly, I'm starting to move towards that just for convenience, and just because if I play this, I even if it's like a digital file or something, it's like I don't know. I like to have both. I mean, the win-win would be to have it being offered on both, but that's really tough. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely moving towards that modern platform with all the extra bells and whistles.
Yeah, I agree. And Elderend was one of the ones that I was thinking of when you brought this up, because I picked it up the day it launched, and it was like, this feels like something that's from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But with all the, like I said at the start of this, all the quality of life improvements that we'd expect from modern console. I'm actually playing something as well from the guy who did Super Blood Hockey. He just released a game called Terror of Hemosaurus, which is a love letter to Rampage.
What?
It's on Switch, and I believe it's on Steam too. And John, you gotta play it. It's so good.
What is it called?
Terror of Hemosaurus.
Oh my gosh, great! How much? So would it come out in February?
Came out. Yeah, I think it came out last month. It's on sale right now. I think it's on sale for like $10.50 on the Switch.
I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not gonna buy it now, but Terror of Hemosaurus.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in Facebook, so you got the name. Great. But I featured it in my video today, in my eShop Hidden Gems video, and it is such a fun game, and it's just such a great throwback to Rampage and arcade games like that.
I love Rampage.
It's got 4-player multiplayer, online and local, so it's a great title, and I'm right there with you. Like, as much as I love getting old games for old consoles, or new games for old consoles, I really like the convenience of having them on something modern, so I can just toss it on my TV and anyone can play.
Beyond Shadowgate, another example. Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter.
Oh,
and
awesome.
it's 8-bit. It's an 8-bit follow-up to an NES game. And they're not, some people wanted them to do it on NES hardware. But people forget when you do it on original hardware. Now, as a programmer, there's a challenge and a thrill to be limited to X amount of colors, X amount of space, X amount of processor, and like that journey of making that work. But at the end of the day, it's going to not look as good. And you're not going to have some things. You can make something look old school, but have it look a little bit brighter, a little bit better, a little bit bigger, and have it on a modern platform. And I think it's the best of both worlds because, as content creator, we hear it all the time. It's like, oh, I would buy it if it's on this. But then when I do aftermarket games, it's like, gosh, I wish they'd make it on a modern platform so I can play it on my Switch or play it on this. And it's like, you can't, there isn't a one option that's going to make everybody happy. And, for me, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with a modern platform that looks old school.
I would agree. I'm in the same boat.
Also known as half of Steam's library.
Yeah, exactly. And the Switch library, too.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do it for episode 3 of Super Retro Bros. John, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Plug your stuff. Not that anyone who watches my channel doesn't know who you are, but go for it.
Well, and you can check out the other episodes on my channel. And I recently did one with Jay from Square Pegs. We talked about the PlayStation VR and the price. And you can put that in the link below, as well as the first one that we did. And so we want to continue doing these, and what we're going to do is we're going to have them both on back and forth each other's channel. Therefore, we can do a little cross-pollination there.
Yeah.
And so at John Hancock Retro, and all the links will be below where you can check me out. I have a YouTube channel for people that don't know, and I cover everything from Atari to Xbox, a little bit of retro, a little bit of modern, and a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, and we are both going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic in a couple weeks in Milwaukee.
Yes.
I guess about 3 weeks in Milwaukee, and really looking forward to seeing you again, my friend. It has been, well, it's not been as long as the last time. It's only been a few months since we were together in Columbus, but really looking forward to getting back together with you and seeing you in Milwaukee.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and for watching the video today. Until next time, I've been Jay from Square Pegs.
And this is the Immortal John Hancock.
Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care, and we will talk to you soon.